Captain Elias Voss exhaled slowly, eyes scanning the holographic projection before him. Deep space anomaly readings scrolled in cascading lines of data, each insignificant on its own, until patterns emerged. He leaned forward, fingers hovering, over the interface. Something was coming. Beyond the glass of his command station, Earth floated in the abyss, deceptively peaceful. The world believed itself alone in the cosmos, naive in its illusions of safety. The governments kept it that way, by design. But Voss knew better. He had spent his entire life in the shadows of a war that had not yet begun, preparing for an enemy that would come without warning. Project Aegis ensured that Earth's defenses remained unseen, its power undiscovered until the moment it would be needed. He smirked, watching as the latest anomaly signature stabilized. The hunter had finally arrived. Light years away, within the cold halls of the Zigzari Dominion's War Council, a single report was dismissed with barely a glance. Designation: Sol 3, Technological Tier, Primitive. Estimated resistance: minimal. Another backwater world, another unchallenged conquest. The Dominion had swallowed hundreds of civilizations whole, each one believing in its final moments that they were special, that they mattered. Earth was no different. A fleet was dispatched, 7 behemoth-class warships, escorted by 100 dreadnoughts, carriers, and strike craft. Enough to break entire planetary coalitions. Against Sol 3? It would be over in days. The Zigzari watched from the void, their many eyes fixed on an unremarkable blue world, a world they believed had no weapons, no fleets, no threats. A world that had already sealed their fate. Beneath Earth's surface, far below the bustling cities and oblivious citizens, war machines waited in silence. Hidden orbital platforms hovered, undetected within the shadow of the moon, armed with quantum lattice railguns and autonomous drone swarms. Neural-linked cyber warfare hubs lay dormant, coded with adaptive AI capable of infiltrating and dismantling enemy systems before a single shot was fired. The illusion of Earth's weakness was its greatest weapon. The Zigzari would find no planetary defense grids, no outward signs of military might. The planet was a trap, a steel dagger hidden in velvet, and the moment the enemy set foot in the Sol system, Project Aegis would awaken. Deep within the Arctic, Command Bunker Voss stood before a strategic holomap. All stations confirm readiness, he ordered. One by one, confirmations rolled in. The world was still blind. The trap was set. Now they waited. On the surface, life continued as it always had. In a Tokyo high-rise, executives debated quarterly earnings. In New York, a child laughed as they chased pigeons through Central Park. In Nairobi, lovers held hands, beneath neon city lights. No one knew what loomed beyond the sky. In a hidden control room beneath Geneva, a silent council convened, eyes locked on a single reading. Unauthorized entry into Sol system detected. Energy signatures, multiple. Mass. Readings, exponential. The enemy had arrived. A message was relayed across secret military channels worldwide. Project Aegis was on standby. Voss watched the data feed in silence, then muttered under his breath. They're right on time. The Zigzari fleet breached into Earth's orbit, massive warships blotting out the stars. Their hulls gleamed under Sol's light, thousands of weapon ports aimed downward at the unsuspecting planet. Then a transmission. We are the Zigzari Dominion. Your existence is at an end. Surrender and submit, or your species will cease to be. The message echoed across every screen, every device, every transmission frequency on Earth. Panic spread like wildfire. Social feeds exploded. Governments called emergency meetings. News stations scrambled to interpret the impossible. Yet among the world's leaders there was no shock, only quiet anticipation. Voss watched as the broadcast ended. He exhaled, his voice a whisper among the hum of war machines coming to life. They still think we're afraid. No reply was sent to the Zigzari. No words of defiance, no pleas for mercy, only silence. And then, the unseen gears of war began to turn. Across the globe, hidden command stations lit up with activity. Orbital satellite platforms aligned their targeting systems. Quantum AI nodes initiated cyber warfare protocols. Stealth warships, cloaked within Earth's magnetosphere, activated their weapon systems. Project Aegis had been waiting. Now, it was awake. Elias Voss clasped his hands behind his back, standing before a vast, glowing map of the world. The enemy thought Earth was defenseless. They were so very, very wrong. The war for Earth had begun. The Zigzari fleet loomed over Earth, casting artificial eclipses across continents. Warships, colossal in scale, began deployment maneuvers. Dropships descended like falling stars, engines roaring as they breached the atmosphere. To the Zigzari, this was routine. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. This would be no different. But something felt off. No planetary shields flickered to life. No desperate transmissions begged for mercy. Earth was silent. The Zigzari did not question their supremacy. To them, silence meant surrender, resignation. Their shock and awe doctrine had shattered, civilizations before their fleets had even landed. Their commanders watched with detached amusement as their war machines touched down on empty streets. They did not realize that silence had another meaning. It was the sound of a predator waiting for its prey to step into the trap. The Zigzari marched through the lifeless streets of Earth's great cities, their exosuits clanking against pavement. No fleeing crowds, no panicked screams. Entire districts lay abandoned, yet streetlights still glowed, traffic signals still blinked. The infrastructure remained operational, but the people, gone. Commanders scanned for life signs. Nothing. The Zigzari were conquerors, not explorers. They had no patience for puzzles, no respect for subtlety. They expected desperation, not calculated absence. It unsettled them. "This is wrong," one warrior muttered, the sentiment quickly silenced by a commanding officer. Then, their instruments faltered. Readouts scrambled, scanners stuttered, comms flickered into static. Somewhere in the darkness, something was watching them. Zigzari squads advanced in careful formation, every step accompanied by the hum of scanning equipment. Weapons. Pre-med. Sensors active. Then, flickers. Targeting systems glitched, flickering between friend and foe. Energy weapons powered down mid-charge. Entire squads found their limbs seizing as cybernetic implants rebelled against them. A deep unease spread through the ranks. Elite soldiers, conditioned for war, suddenly found themselves gripping their weapons tighter, mandibles clicking in nervous rhythm. Static crackled in their comms. Status reports fell into garbled nonsense. Then, silence. A Zigzari patrol vanished in an abandoned district. One moment, their vitals blinked steadily on command consoles. The next, flatlines. Surveillance drones, desperate for clarity, captured only glimpses. Shadows moving too fast, figures slipping through infrared like wraiths, then nothing. Panic rippled through command lines. And then a voice, a human voice. It cut through the interference, hijacking Zigzari communications. "Welcome to Earth," it said, the voice almost amused. "We've been expecting you." A heartbeat later, the ambush began. Human strike teams emerged from nowhere, literally. Cloaking fields deactivated as heavily armored figures struck with precision. Exosuits, sleek and eerily silent, turned the tide instantly. Zigzari warriors found themselves overpowered. Their own weapons hacked mid-fight, rifles refused to fire, armor powered down, combat drones turned against their masters. Neural-linked human drones weaved through the battlefield with terrifying coordination, striking at weak points the Zigzari had never considered vulnerabilities. Zigzari, warriors, undefeated across hundreds of worlds, fell in droves. The concept of loss was alien to them. And yet, here they were, losing. For the first time in their history, the Zigzari dominion tasted fear. Desperate, the Zigzari attempted to retreat, activating distress signals, ordering emergency evacuations. No response. Their own ships refused them. Earth's cyber warfare division had already infiltrated their fleet's systems, locking controls, overriding commands. High above, orbital defense platforms revealed themselves, cannons whirring to life. Cities, once ghost towns, came alive with the hum of automated defense turrets, EMP bursts, and shifting barricades. Every escape route was a killing field. Earth had not been caught unaware. It had been waiting for this moment. On the Zyxari flagship, Supreme Commander Zalvatar watched, his mandibles twitching in disbelief. This was not war. This was slaughter. The reports made no sense. An unremarkable pre-FTL world should not have been capable of mounting such resistance. His forces were being manipulated at every step, outmaneuvered by a species that should have been beneath his notice. It was methodical, ruthless. It was terrifying. He clenched his claws. "Withdraw the fleet," he snarled. An aide hesitated. "Sir, the humans have seized control of our—" Zalvatar's voice dropped to a whisper. "Then we fight to the last." The Zyxari had come expecting conquest. Instead, they had found their worst nightmare. Earth was never defenseless. Humanity was simply waiting. Supreme Commander Zalvatar took a deep breath, forcing his mind to focus. The pain of the initial human assault still gnawed at his thoughts, but he had no time for self-pity. The war was far from over. He was not about to let Earth's defenders think they had the upper hand. Regain control. Zalvatar barked to his officers, his voice like the growl of a beast. His massive form, adorned in battle armor that glinted with alien precision, towered over the bridge of the flagship. He turned sharply to his strategist. "Activate the full fleet's counter-offensive. Deploy the mechs, the drones, flush them out of their hiding places." Across the vastness of space, Zyxari warships began to mobilize. Advanced combat mechs, biomechanical monsters with adaptive armor, were released from their holds. These machines were designed to crush anything in their path, and now they were headed straight for Earth's last defensive lines. In the depths of their labyrinthine cities, human resistance forces scrambled to prepare for what was coming. Zalvatar's orders were unambiguous. Crush them, no survivors, leave nothing but ash. His words burned with finality, but unknown to him, humanity had already anticipated this move. They were preparing for something far greater than the Zyxari could imagine. Humanity was not caught off guard for long. From the human side, reports began flooding in, each one more promising than the last. The Zyxari mechs and drones, so formidable when they first appeared, now faced something that the Zyxari had not accounted for: human ingenuity. On the front lines, cyber warfare units launched an assault unlike anything the Zyxari had encountered before. A network of Earth's finest hackers, skilled in the art of digital warfare, breached the Zyxari's combat drones. With precision, they turned the drones against their masters, commandeering the machines and rerouting their targeting systems. The battlefield turned chaotic as once loyal drone forces began to attack their own mechs. The human guerrilla teams hidden in the shadows of cities made their move next. Using teleportation nodes to avoid detection, they struck the Zyxari supply lines, disrupting the flow of reinforcements and ammunition. The Zyxari fleet, despite its numerical superiority, began to see the tide shift. Tactical errors became more frequent, and soon the realization dawned on their commanders. They were losing ground. In the heart of Earth's command center, Dr. Mira Vasquez stood before the control panel, her fingers hovering above a series of holographic buttons. The time had come to deploy their trump card. "Initiate demon systems," she said, her voice calm but heavy with anticipation. These quantum AIs, codenamed demons, were no ordinary machines. They were designed to predict enemy tactics with pinpoint accuracy, not simply calculating moves but actively manipulating the flow of battle. These AIs learned, adapted, and anticipated the Zyxari's every maneuver, countering each one before it even happened. On the battlefield, the result was immediate and overwhelming. Zyxari warships, once poised to decimate human forces, began malfunctioning in real time. The AIs manipulated the ship's navigation systems, causing entire fleets to misfire, firing on their own troops. Meanwhile, on the ground, Zizari mechs found themselves unable to track human movements as the demons anticipated every move and countered it before it could be executed. The Zizari were utterly blindsided, and their precision shattered into chaos. Sergeant Idris Kane, Earth's top cyber warfare expert, was at the forefront of this digital battle. He and his team, nestled in a secure underground facility, launched a direct assault on the Zigzari's fleet systems. The task was monumental. Taking on an AI as advanced as the Zigzari's was no easy feat. But Kane had confidence in his team and their ability to turn the tide in ways the Zigzari couldn't even comprehend. As his fingers danced across the holographic interface, Kane felt the tension building. This wasn't just hacking. This was war in its purest form. He felt the pulse of the battle through every connection he breached, every system he infected. The Zizari fleet AI, a creature of perfect logic, fought back fiercely, attempting to block Kane's incursions. But the humans had an edge. Unpredictability. In an instant, Kane's team successfully injected a virus into the fleet's command systems. The result was catastrophic. Zigzari ships, once meticulously coordinated, began attacking each other. Their targeting parameters were subtly shifted by Kane's team, causing confusion to spiral into chaos. The commanding officers of the Zigzari fleet were left scrambling, unable to regain control of their own vessels. Salvatar's command bridge erupted into turmoil, but there was no escaping the damage already done. The Zigzari warriors, genetically engineered to be fearless in the face of danger, began to experience something utterly alien to them: fear. Zigzari soldiers had never retreated, never questioned their orders. They were bred to fight, to conquer. But now reports from the front lines were painting a different picture. Entire battalions, once unshakable, were disappearing into the vastness of space, their positions unaccounted for. In the depths of their armor, they felt a creeping sense of terror. Technology failing, weapons malfunctioning, and worst of all, their own ships turning against them. This was something no Zigzari soldier had ever been trained to deal with. Panic began to spread among the ranks, and for the first time in history, Zigzari warriors began retreating, not out of tactical necessity, but out of pure self-preservation. Salvatar's mind raced as he absorbed the reports. His once unshakable confidence cracked, the realization sinking in. Humanity was not just putting up a fight. They were making a mockery of the Zigzari's superiority. Humanity was not prey. Amid the mounting chaos, cracks began to form within the Zigzari leadership. Some generals, watching the carnage unfold, started to question the wisdom of continuing the assault on Earth. The losses were mounting, and the outcome seemed uncertain. What's the cost of victory now? General Varkon, a seasoned veteran, asked during a private meeting with his fellow commanders. We're losing fleets, losing soldiers, and the humans, they're adapting. This isn't like any war we've ever fought. Others were more resolute, arguing that retreat would mean disgrace for the Dominion. The loss of face would be catastrophic, Salvatar countered vehemently. We cannot show weakness now. The debate raged on, but one thing was clear. The Zigzari High Command was divided. Meanwhile, Earth's forces had captured their first Zigzari prisoners, but instead of executing them as the Zigzari would have done, the humans did something far more unexpected. They released them. The message was clear. Humanity was not interested in slaughter. It was interested in something far more profound. In the depths of Earth's command center, a group of engineers worked frantically at reprogramming a Zigzari war beacon. The signal it would send would be their declaration, their statement to the Zigzari fleet that Earth was not a weak, defenseless target. It was a challenge the Zigzari would struggle to comprehend. The message was simple, direct, and chilling in its audacity. Earth was never defenseless. We let you come. We let you think you could win. Now we let you leave, if you run fast enough. Salvatar stared at the broadcast with growing dread. It was not just a message of defiance. It was a statement that Earth was playing a far greater game than the Zizari had realized. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. They were toying with them. Supreme Commander Zalvatar's mandibles clicked in frustration. The war had turned into a nightmare. The humans, these frail, soft-skinned creatures, had defied every expectation, twisting the battlefield to their advantage time and time again. He could not, would not, allow this humiliation to continue. All forces, prepare for planetary bombardment, he growled, his voice a low rumble that echoed across the command bridge. His advisors hesitated. Bombarding a planet so rich in resources went against the Dominion's doctrine. Conquer, integrate, control, not destroy. But there was no choice now. As targeting arrays locked onto major human strongholds, a distress signal pinged from a derelict space station orbiting Earth. It flickered weakly, its once proud hull marred by battle scars. Sensor readings showed it was barely operational, a final refuge for what remained of Earth's leadership. They are cornered, Zalvatar muttered. They run to their last shelter like wounded prey. The Zigzari fleet adjusted formation, warships moving into position for an overwhelming strike. The flagship's primary weapons powered up, locking onto the station. The final blow to humanity was imminent, but Earth's defenders had planned for this moment. The station was no sanctuary. It was bait. Inside the station, deep within a reinforced laboratory, Dr. Mira Vasquez stood before a control panel, her hands hovering over the activation key for humanity's darkest creation, the genetic rewrite weapon. It had taken years to perfect, a virus designed to alter Zigzari DNA, stripping them of their ability to wage war. If deployed, it wouldn't kill them. It would erase their instincts, make them incapable of aggression. The Dominion would crumble, not by fire, but by peace. This is the only way, Sergeant Kane said, standing rigid beside her. We end the war permanently. No more Zigzari invasions, no more deaths. Captain Elias Voss shook his head, his expression grim. This isn't victory. It's genocide of the mind. We'd be playing God, rewriting an entire species. If we do this, are we any better than them? Mira hesitated, her fingers trembling. The room was silent, the weight of the decision pressing down like gravity itself. A war won by erasing an enemy's nature. Was that still a war? Or was it something far worse? For the first time, humanity stood at the precipice, staring into the abyss. A new idea formed, a way to win without becoming monsters. Kane and his cyber warfare team transmitted a signal through the station's array, ensuring it would be intercepted by Zigzari intelligence units. The message was carefully crafted, riddled with hidden distortions that would make it appear authentic. The Zigzari hackers took the bait. Intercepted transmission. Earth has thousands of hidden warships. Aegis was only the beginning. The fleet is in deep space waiting. Once the Zigzari commit their full forces, we will strike. The Dominion will fall in a single night. It was a lie, a magnificent deception planted within the enemy's own systems, a carefully woven illusion of overwhelming power. Salvatore read the intercepted message in silence. The implications were staggering. If true, Earth was not a backwater world that had miraculously survived an invasion. It was a sleeping giant. Fear rippled through the Zigzari High Command. The Dominion had never faced an enemy like this, and just like that, doubt crept in. While fear worked its way through the Zigzari ranks, Kane prepared the final strike. The virus was ready. It had been in development long before the war began, a last resort weapon designed to cripple any invading force's digital infrastructure. Kane had spent years perfecting it. With a single keystroke, he unleashed it into the Zigzari fleet's systems. The effect was instantaneous. Control systems flickered. Targeting arrays reset. Engines misfired. Then the fleet's AI, compromised beyond repair, turned on its own forces. Zigzari warships began firing indiscriminately. Capital ships unleashed devastating broadsides against their own escorts. Fighter squadrons received conflicting orders, colliding mid-flight. On the flagship's bridge, Zalvatar could do nothing but watch in horror. His invincible armada, the might of the Dominion, was devouring itself. The battle was lost. Zalvatar had known war all his life. He had conquered planets, crushed rebellions, forged a legacy of victories. But he had never seen anything like this. Humanity had turned the very foundation of war against him. They had not just fought with weapons. They had fought with minds, with deception, with strategies that no Zigzari could have predicted. His advisors shouted for him to fight to the last ship, to die with honor. But Zalvatar saw the truth. This was not a defeat of force. This was a defeat of will. With a slow, deliberate movement, he activated the fleet-wide channel and spoke, his voice carrying across the remains of his shattered armada. "Cease fire." A stunned silence followed. His commanders protested, but Zalvatar raised a hand to silence them. This was not fear. This was respect. He turned his gaze to the world below, a world that had defied extinction, a world that had outthought and outmaneuvered an empire spanning galaxies. His final transmission to Earth's leaders was simple. You are not weak. You are not prey. You are something new, and we will not forget. The Zigzari fleet turned, retreating from the battlefield. The war was over. As the last Zigzari ships disappeared into the void, cheers erupted across Earth's defenses. Humanity had won. But the victory was not without cost. Dr. Mira Vasquez resigned from her position. She had seen how close they had come to rewriting an entire species, to crossing a line that should never be crossed. It haunted her. Captain Elias Voss sat in the command center, watching the news feeds. The Dominion had left, but others were watching. Earth was no longer a backwater planet. It was a power now, and powers attract attention. A single classified report crossed his desk. Project Aegis has been disbanded, or so they claimed. He exhaled slowly, staring at the blinking cursor at the end of the report. What happens when the next empire comes? Humanity had won a war, but they had also painted a target on their back. The galaxy would never see them the same way again. The Zigzari fleet limped away from Earth, broken but not shattered, retreating into the cold abyss of space. The Dominion's pride had been wounded, its invincibility shattered by a species that should have been nothing more than a footnote in their conquests. Yet Earth still stood. News of the battle spread like wildfire across the galactic networks. The Dominion had faced resistance before, but never like this. The humans had not merely survived. They had fought with a cunning, an adaptability, and a sheer refusal to bow that had left even the most hardened warlords uneasy. In the halls of alien governments, discussions erupted. Some saw Earth as a potential ally. A species willing to stand against the Dominion could be a powerful asset. Others, however, saw something far more dangerous. If a single world could defy the Dominion, what would happen if they were allowed to grow unchecked? The balance of power had shifted and the galaxy was watching. Back on Earth, the celebrations were mixed with unease. Victory had come at a cost, and in the war rooms of world governments, the question loomed. What now? Some leaders, pragmatic and weary, argued for caution. "We should disappear again," one counselor urged. "Rebuild, reinforce. We were lucky this time. Next time they won't underestimate us." Others saw an opportunity. "The galaxy now knows our name," a general countered. "We cannot hide. We must seize the momentum and secure our place among the stars." The debate grew heated. Had revealing Earth's strength been a mistake? Would other empires now see them as a threat? Was war now inevitable? Some believed peace was still possible. Others prepared for the next battle. And beneath it all, a single, unshakable truth remained. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, and there was no turning back. Dr. Mira Vasquez stood in the ruins of what had once been her laboratory, the place where humanity had come closest to playing God. The genetic rewrite weapon had been disarmed, but the knowledge of what they had nearly done remained. She could no longer be part of it. With a heavy heart, she resigned, retreating into obscurity. Some called her a coward, others a woman of conscience. Sergeant Kane was hailed as a hero. The virus he deployed had crippled an empire, but at what cost? He accepted his promotion with quiet reluctance, the echoes of his actions following him like shadows. The war had changed him, and he wondered if he would ever be able to look at a battlefield the same way again. Captain Elias Voss remained in the command center, sifting through reports, watching the world change around him. The war was over, but something in his gut told him this was only the beginning. Rumors whispered through the ranks. Some factions within humanity were emboldened. There were those who believed Earth's expansion was not just inevitable, but necessary. Project Aegis was just the beginning. The final transmission came unexpectedly. A deep space relay intercepted a message from an unknown source. No signature, no point of origin, just a simple message. You are not alone, and we are watching. Voss read it twice, his fingers tightening around the data pad. He turned to the observation window, staring at the endless black beyond the atmosphere. Somewhere out there, something had taken notice of them. Perhaps it had been watching all along. He exhaled slowly. Humanity had survived the Zigzari. But there were older, greater things in the universe, and they had finally turned their gaze toward Earth. A new era had begun. Officially, Project Aegis was shut down. Unofficially, some secrets were never meant to be buried. The war was over, but the real fight was yet to come. Deep within the remnants of Project Aegis, in a facility that officially did not exist, a Priority 1 alert pulsed on a hidden relay station. The encrypted signal bore no Zigzari signatures, no known galactic frequencies. It was something else entirely. Analysts worked frantically, peeling away layers of data corruption, trying to make sense of what had been intercepted. Bits of language, symbols that did not belong to any known civilization, coalesced into something chilling. A phrase stood out, clear, deliberate, undeniable. Humanity was never meant to be alone. Captain Elias Voss read the decrypted report, his stomach tightening. The war with the Zigzari had been the fight of their lives. Yet this was different. This was something older, something waiting in the dark. He exhaled, his fingers tightening around the document. This wasn't over. It had never been over. A private communique arrived in Earth's highest security channels, encoded with Zigzari Dominion clearance. Supreme Commander Zalvatar had sent a final message, a warning that was both a concession and an omen. You have won this war, but victory is not survival. The words were not a threat, nor were they the bitterness of the defeated. They were something worse, an acknowledgement of truth. The Dominion spans 1,000 worlds, yet we are not the masters of this galaxy. You think you are prepared. You are not. Across the war rooms and encrypted networks of Earth's Defense Council, silence stretched as his final words were translated. Your greatest war has yet to come. For the first time, the Zigzari were afraid, and that meant humanity should be too. The official reports declared Project Aegis dismantled. Humanity had no further need for its desperate covert tactics. There would be peace now, an era of cautious diplomacy. That was the story given to the public. Behind sealed doors, a different conversation was taking place. A handful of operatives, battle-hardened, trusted, and utterly expendable, received their new orders. Find out who sent the message. Find out what's coming. Ensure Earth survives. Among them, Captain Elias Voss stood at the head of the table, his jaw set. The war had ended, but the fight for humanity's place in the universe had only begun. On the darkened surface of Earth's hidden lunar outpost, Voss gazed upward. The sky was an endless void, scattered with stars that no longer felt distant. Each point of light could be a world watching them, waiting, calculating. The Zigzari had thought humanity weak. They had learned otherwise. But now, humanity understood a larger truth. The galaxy was far bigger than their war and far more dangerous. Voss exhaled, his breath frosting against his helmet's visor. There was no more room for hesitation. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning.